8,000 years ago, the demons united the demon world and launched a cataclysmic battle against the immortal world. When the immortals were losing hope and their doom seemed written in the stars, the immortal Empress Yi descended to turn the tide. Upon her arrival, the immortals cheered, thinking, "Empress Yi is here, we're saved." Empress Yi raised her hand, and a divine long sword appeared in the sky, sending shivers down the spines of the demons. The immortals shouted that Empress Yi was invincible in the three realms and urged her to kill the demon. But then, a demon artifact enveloped the divine sword. Empress Yi was startled as she saw the demon devour the sword, which then vanished into thin air. At that moment, a figure flew in on a skull-shaped dark cloud. Empress Yi demanded to know if he was the one who merged the blood of the holy demon, created the holy demon temple, and unified the demon world. He revealed himself as the supreme demon lord, Putian Hans. Infuriated, Empress Yi asked why he sacrificed so many lives. Putian, with the nonchalance of someone explaining why they chose vanilla over chocolate, said he did it because he was bored. This response enraged Empress Yi even more. She summoned multiple holy swords, declaring, "Demon heresy has reached the extreme." She flew towards Putian, vowing to kill him. She attacked with a holy sword, causing a huge explosion in the sky. As the smoke cleared, Putian emerged, having fatally stabbed Empress Yi in the chest with his hand. He lamented that even she couldn't defeat the deity. Empress Yi, in pain and anger, called him a demon and declared that this hatred was unbearable. She vowed that no matter if it took a millennium or 10,000 years, she would return for revenge. Saying this, she vanished into thin air. Putian was now invincible. 8,000 years later, Putian sat on the heavenly seat, reflecting on his near 10,000 years of invincibility. Despite his endless life and monstrous power, he had never been able to prove the Tao and transcendence. He mused about how, 10,000 years ago, he arrived from Earth alone, with no family or purpose. He clutched his chest, thinking that this profound loneliness was the greatest obstacle to his transcendence and proving the Tao. He stood before the heavenly gate and shouted, "Open the gate. Let me travel the mortal world as a mortal." He reasoned that he couldn't transcend without experiencing the mundane world. Sealing his body with demonic energy and blood, he descended to the lower realm to experience a long-lost ordinary life. In Fengjing City Swantian Domain, a girl was cleaning her yard when a man entered the house, announcing to his wife that he had met the god of wealth today and this month's rent had fallen. Seeing him, the girl was overjoyed. He was her loving husband. She ran towards him and kissed him, both overjoyed to see each other. This man was Putian, the supreme demon lord. She exclaimed, "Husband is finally back." She grabbed his hand and urged him to come inside, as the food was ready. Putian thought to himself that this was the ordinary world he longed for, a stark contrast to the intrigue of the demon world. Inside, he enjoyed his wife's cooking, complimenting it enthusiastically. She was pleased and told him to eat slowly, promising to make more if needed. When she asked about his day, he revealed a 12-tael silver, much to her astonishment. She asked, trembling, if he had robbed someone. Putian reassured her, explaining how a child's grandfather wanted to buy a gift for his baptism and took a fancy to a Monkey King sculpture he had made. The grandfather, pleased with his grandson's happiness, paid 12 taels without hesitation. His wife, relieved and delighted, took the silver to pack it up. Putian reflected that, while mortals couldn't see the profound Tao in his carvings, the child, born with supreme bones and extraordinary luck, might one day penetrate the mystery if given the chance. Resting in their backyard, Putian appreciated the simplicity of 3 meals a day, light tea, light rice, poetry, zither music, and painting with his wife. One evening, as she enjoyed the sunset, he playfully grabbed her from behind. She was embarrassed, but he suggested they go to bed. Teasingly, she asked if he wanted to bully her again. Putian, with a mischievous smile, confirmed he did. She smiled and told him, "Let's go." Putian scooped her into his arms and carried her inside. She sat on their bed and asked why he was still standing. When she commanded him to come closer, Putian jumped on the bed and kissed her passionately, leading to an intense night of making love. In the middle of the night, while Putian and his wife were sleeping, she had a dream. She found herself in a heavenly place, thinking it felt familiar. She stood on a high platform, and many people bowed before her, thanking the Supreme Empress Yi for blessing all beings in the 3 realms. Hearing the name Empress Yi, she remembered her true identity as the central heavenly empress of the immortal world. Born with both spiritual and mortal bodies, she had faced countless disasters with great perseverance, eventually becoming the central heavenly empress, leading the immortals, and earning the admiration of gods and demons alike. In the ancient battle between immortals and demons, she had single-handedly terrified the demons, bringing peace to the three realms for tens of thousands of years until Putian arrived. They fought for 3 days and nights before she finally fell. She awoke, realizing she was the reincarnation of the central heavenly empress, her immortal consciousness and memories flooding back. Putian, still asleep, grabbed her waist, startling her. She felt embarrassed, thinking how she, a dignified empress admired by thousands, had been intimately involved with a mortal. Looking at her clothes, she was mortified, thinking that if word got out, she would be a laughingstock in the three realms. She contemplated killing Putian to destroy the evidence, but he mumbled in his sleep, requesting stewed tofu for the next day. She smiled, realizing that despite their differences, they had shared many happy moments together. She touched his cheek, thinking that even if she was the heavenly empress, she was now his wife and would always protect him. In the morning, Putian woke up and gently woke his wife, asking her to dress him. She leaned on his shoulder, agreeing, and began dressing him. He grabbed her waist, praising her as a virtuous wife and saying he had nothing more to ask for in life. She told him she had run out of pharyngeal cream and water powder, asking him to accompany her to buy more. Putian agreed, offering to help her change clothes. Empress Yi, embarrassed, told him to choose her outfit, trusting his judgment. Dressed in white, she looked like a goddess. As Putian styled her hair, he remarked on her beauty. Empress Yi turned around and asked what he meant. He explained that it was hard to imagine such a beautiful woman existed. She smiled, teasingly asking if she wasn't pretty without dressing up. Putian, feeling embarrassed, hugged her, insisting she was always beautiful to him, whether elegantly dressed or as natural as a chrysanthemum. Empress Yi kissed him, sealing their bond. As they entered the bustling market, Putian noticed some men clad in black. Empress Yi he instructed him to wait, as she would investigate. Left alone, Putian heard a voice call out, "Superb bunny girl." He turned to see a merchant selling bunny girls. Observing them, he mused on the harsh reality of this world where the strong devour the weak, and weakness is a sin. The merchant beckoned Putian, offering a bunny girl who would ensure comfort and refreshment. With a contemplative thought, Putian declined. The merchant persisted, offering a 20% discount, warning that such an offer would not come again. Putian pitied him, thinking how ruthless the world is, treating all beings as mere kutta. Suddenly, Empress Yi he reappeared, teasing Putian about having his soul hooked away. She wondered if he wanted to buy one for nightly service. Startled, Putian hurried to explain himself, insisting he meant nothing by it. Angrily, she accused him of being unable to control his eyes, suggesting he might as well buy them all. Putian, holding her hand, urged her to move on, but she freed herself, challenging him to see how many he could buy with his money. Putian, looking at his wife, declared that no one else could catch his eye. Infuriated, Empress Yi he thought of the merchant, Yue Bajai, daring to conduct such sinful business before her, intent on corrupting her man. She vowed that he would soon vanish from Fongjing City. Both Putian and the merchant were terrified of her wrath. They moved on, shopping for clothes and jewelry, and eventually stopped to eat. When she was finally in a good mood, Putian suggested they head back, having bought everything needed. She agreed. Suddenly, commotion erupted as soldiers escorted a carriage through the market. Inside, a pink-haired girl sat, and the crowd cheered for the general's return. Curious, Putian and his wife inquired about the imposing woman. A man explained she was the younger sister of Fushunyu, the goddess, who had quelled the rebellion of the demon wolf clan swiftly. Others lauded her as the youngest god of war in the dynasty and the Empress Shenfeng's first confidant. Empress Yi he noted the pink-haired girl's swift return, admiring her. The pink-haired girl glanced at Putian, who sensed an ominous presence from the black-clad men he had seen earlier. Suddenly, an assailant leaped in front of the carriage, hurling a thunderbolt at the girl. Putian saw it was dangerous for mortals as a guard shouted about assassins. The girl opened her eyes, and Putian shielded his wife. The pink-haired girl leaped from the carriage, slicing the thunderbolt in half, causing a massive explosion in the sky. Panic ensued. The pink-haired girl confronted the assassins, their leader proclaiming the plan was in motion. She commanded her soldiers to kill them all. The assassins, all cultivators, attacked with powerful artifacts: Heaven's Seal, Rui Ruler, the Order of the King of Hell, and Fire Phoenix Feather. The soldiers formed a protective shield, but the blasts sent everyone fleeing. Putian watched, disappointed by the chaos. He thought of the futility of these ants before him. Concerned only with protecting his wife from demonic chi, he decided to take her home first, telling her not to fear. But instead of his wife, a fat, ugly girl stood beside him, pleading for rescue. Shocked, Putian thought her a monster. Suppressing his disdain, he grabbed her, demanding to know his wife's whereabouts. Embarrassed, she implied he had inappropriate intentions. Fury overwhelmed Putian, his eyes glowing with anger. He threw the girl aside, her impact foiling an assassin's attack on the pink-haired girl. Confused, she saw two bodies lying intertwined. Calming down, Putian used a technique to locate his wife, finding her pushed away by the crowd. Despite no physical pain, he felt panic and resentment, cursing the assassins. Grabbing one, he unleashed his spiritual energy, declaring all must die for their crimes. The assassin, seeking death, provoked him. Putian, wary of shocking mortals, unlocked limited power, obliterating the assassin's head. Surprised, he realized he wielded immortal chi, a remnant of his past as a supreme god of the demon world, once an immortal cultivator. Reflecting on his journey from mortal cultivation to accidental demonhood, he laughed at the irony. Despite falling into the demon world, his immortal chi remained, suppressed but potent. An assassin attacked, only to be killed by Putian's protective shield. Considering the coexistence of immortal and demon spirits within him, he mused on becoming an immortal demon cultivator. With enemies across realms, he feared for his wife's safety. Deciding to deal with the assassins first, he saw more than 10 cultivators besieging the general. Exhausted, her soldiers urged her to flee, but she refused to abandon them. The assassins mocked her, confident in their victory. Praying for her brother's aid, she faced a final assault. Suddenly, a powerful spiritual energy enveloped the area, making the assassins vanish. The general, stunned, questioned what had happened, her soldiers reporting the assassin's disappearance. She thought, is it hell in broad daylight, or is it fraud? Putian was looking at them and thought they were extremely weak. A trace of the deity's spiritual consciousness overflowed, and they turned into power. Our mortals who are not immortals are weak, all weak. He thought that the difference between immortals and mortals is like the difference between clouds and mud, uncrossable. He jumped on a house and said that he had already vented his anger on her behalf. His wife was alright, but his immortal chi was too conspicuous in the mortal world. Therefore, he decided to seal his cultivation base and go find his wife. In the main hall of Tianfeng Palace, an old man said, "Your Majesty has a command." Wei Chen Chufeng paid his respects. He bowed down in front of the Majesty and said, "Wei Chen Chufeng pays respects to Her Majesty the Queen." She told him to raise his head. He looked at her. She was Empress Yihe, also Putian's wife and the queen of the Tianfeng kingdom. She was very angry and told him that he was in charge of the strongest guard in Tianfeng city. She hoped he could come up with a result. He was very scared and replied, "In response to Your Majesty, the assassins who besieged General Putian disappeared into thin air. This old subordinate has no way to check, there is no trace of their disappearance at all." When she heard that, she became angrier. She told him that no matter the cost, the people behind this group of assassins must be found. He bowed down again and said, "Yes." She told him that once they were found, they should be destroyed without mercy. The old man said, "Yes, this old subordinate will investigate to the end. All will be eliminated, none will remain." She told him to leave, and he left. The old man thought that Her Majesty had scared the old minister to death. He didn't expect Her Majesty the Queen to think so highly of General Fushinu. He must make good friends in the future. While walking, suddenly a little girl appeared in front of him. She asked him what he was doing in a daze and if her sister had given any trouble, she could help. She was Her Highness Princess Li Wenya. The old man got scared when he saw her and said, "Don't bother, Your Highness. This old man can handle it." She laughed and said she lied to him. She had no time to spare. She went to meet her sister in Tianfeng Palace's imperial study room. Empress Yihe was seated on a chair, thinking that if she hadn't hidden her cultivation in front of her husband, How could she have been pushed away by the crowd? Fortunately, her husband was safe but almost got hurt. Her husband's enmity, even death, is not enough to appease her anger. A voice came from under the table. The dignified queen of the Shenfeng kingdom was actually so excited about this. It was Princess Liwenia. She said it seemed her sister really liked that man. Empress Yiha was embarrassed and asked Wenya why she was there. Princess Wenya laughed and said she had something to bring to her. She gave the empress a gift. The princess said that the man was so ordinary. Did he give her some medicine? Why was she so fascinated? Was she willing to marry him and take care of his diet? Empress Yiha petted the princess's head and said she was still young and couldn't understand the love between men and women. Empress Yiha was embarrassed. She said that although her brother-in-law was very ordinary and only at the 5th level of foundation, only when she was with him did her heart feel so peaceful and happy. There were many happy things to do. The princess asked her what happy things could make her sister so fascinated. Empress Yiha got angry. The princess got scared when she saw her. Empress Yiha pulled her cheeks and said, "Obviously a child, don't ask so much." When Empress Yiha looked ahead, she saw the sun setting. That was not good. It was so late. She usually went back to the palace to do errands while her husband visited the store. She was scared, thinking that an accident happened today. She had to go back as soon as possible. If he came back and didn't find her, he would be worried. The princess turned around to talk to Empress Yiha, but she was not there. Empress Yiha ran towards her home. When the princess saw her, she said, "It's too hard. Is this the world of adults?" On the other side, Putian was anxious. He said, "Where did the wife go?" He didn't see her along the way. He thought that if the realm was opened, no matter where the wife was, the deity could find her instantly. Returning to the state of an immortal, he was actually so anxious. Suddenly, the front door opened. It was his wife. When she saw him worried, she laughed and hugged him, saying, "Husband, you are finally back." He said he didn't find her along the way and was really worried to death. She said she wanted to find him but was afraid he would suddenly come back and wouldn't be able to see her. Putian hugged her again, thinking that it made his wife so worried. He would take time to meet the person behind the scenes and let him have a good taste of the consequences of making his wife worry. When he grabbed that assassin, he looked into his memory to see who was behind the scene. He saw a man who was behind everything, but he knew there were more urgent things to do right now. Empress Yiha held his hand and told him the food was ready. "Let's go eat," she said. Putian agreed, saying he'd been looking for her for so long, and his stomach was starving. They sat at the table. Then Putian asked her to feed him. She agreed, picked up the food with her chopsticks, and told him he had to eat as much as he wanted, or she would be angry. Putian was very happy. He ate and said not to worry, no matter how much he ate, he would consume it at night. Empress Yiha was embarrassed. She called Putian a little rascal. Putian got excited, picked her up in his arms, and said, "The wife's meal is delicious. The husband is full of energy now." She was embarrassed and called him a liar, saying he obviously wanted to do bad things. After that, they had a very lovely night together. The next day, both of them were having breakfast. While eating, Putian said that if he couldn't eat his wife's food one day, he was afraid he would starve to death. Empress Yiha smiled and said there were many big restaurants outside, as well as the flower building, with beauties inside. Wouldn't it be more fragrant than his rough rice if he had a few bunny girls there? Putian got scared because she still remembered the daytime bunny girl. He picked up a sausage and fed her, telling her to eat enough to have the strength to sleep. When she ate it, she told him never to try to please her with a sausage. She said she was thirsty and wanted to drink thick rice soup. Putian fed her soup with his hand. She was happy, thinking that being able to marry her husband was the happiest thing in her life. Putian was happy, thinking that he must protect his wife well. This kind of fairy-like day he would not exchange, even if given how many supremes of the 3 realms. When they sat on their bed after eating, Empress Yiha put her leg on Putian's lap and said she had been shopping for so long today and met those bad people, they almost broke her legs. Putian smiled and held her legs, saying he would give her a good rub. Empress Yiha was a little embarrassed. When Putian was rubbing her legs, he said to her that Fengjing City was a little unstable now. How about they move? She was surprised when she heard him. He told her they would find a place with mountains and water. He would farm and fish, she would cook and weave, and they would just hug each other every day and grow old together. Wouldn't that be nice? Empress Yiha really wanted to go with her husband, but if she left now, the other kings were bound to be in chaos. She said to Putian that she didn't want to move and started crying. She said she was used to living here. Snacks and Function Alley, Rouge of Well City, and the aromatherapy of Chun Feng Pavilion, everyone was reluctant to leave these. When Putian saw her crying, he comforted her, saying they didn't have to move, they just needed to be more careful in the future. Putian thought it was him who didn't think much about it. As long as he got rid of the uneasy factor and made the whole city safer, wouldn't it work? On the other hand, Empress Yiha didn't expect this assassination to make her husband so worried about her. When her husband went to the store tomorrow, she must hurry up and find out who was behind the scenes. He vowed never to let his beloved face such peril again. Empress Yi shared his determination, equally resolved to protect her husband from any danger. The next day, as Putian prepared to leave for his shop, Empress Yi kissed him tenderly. "Come back soon," she urged him. "I'll be waiting for you to return for dinner." Putian nodded, assuring her he would return quickly. As he left, his mind was filled with thoughts of confronting those responsible for the recent chaos.